Here's my unpopular opinion. Capitalism hates millionaires, billionaires, trillionaires, and other greedy parasites. Most people assume capitalism creates these parasites, but I think it's backwards. The issue isn't capitalism, it's socialism. Before you dismiss this as absolute cockroach shit, hear me out. First, consider perfect competition. People often condemn it like it drives up prices and builds the massive profit margins needed to keep billions, yet they ignore the new competitors emerging from low barriers to entry. That's like assuming the more parachutes there are, the more people are going to want to become pilots. Second, ask yourself about creative destruction. If plutocrats constantly disrupting and replacing more agile startups keep gaining while said startups trying to accumulate multi-generational and multi-billion-dollar fortunes keep losing, maybe the popular narrative isn't the whole story. Third, consider the law of diminishing returns. People often praise it because as a firm grows excessively large, bureaucratic inefficiencies, internal friction, and coordination costs increase, yet they ignore how its natural profitability gets capped. That's like denying that if you need water to live, drowning will kill you, not make you immortal. Fourth, ask yourself about government subsidies. If gazillionaires through bailouts, tax loopholes, and direct subsidies that shield them from market failures keep gaining while capitalists getting no such corporate welfare keep losing, maybe the popular narrative isn't the whole story. Fifth, consider the absence of regulatory capture. People often praise it because without government-enforced compliance burdens, monopolies couldn't easily form, yet they ignore how large corporations frequently lobby for regulations that crush smaller competitors. That's like destroying a field of fire ant mounds because you don't want them to take over the house you want built there. Sixth, ask yourself about no monopolies on intellectual property. If monopolies artificially granted lengthy patent and copyright protections keep gaining while purer markets, not allowed immediate replication and improvement to disperse profits keep losing, maybe the popular narrative isn't the whole story. Seventh, consider labor bargaining power. People often praise it because in a healthy, competitive labor market, workers have choices, thus they support how companies must pay competitive wages to retain talent, shifting surplus value from shareholders to employees. That's like supporting the merit of wealth creators instead of the wealth kept by the collectors. 8. Ask yourself about realized investment risk. If bad investors cause a total loss, not a government safety net, but keep gaining while true unshielded risk takers who would naturally break up fragile and massive aggregations of capital keep losing, maybe the popular narrative isn't the whole story. 9th, consider consumer sovereignty. People often praise it because consumers drive the market, thus they support shifts in public preference and ethics rapidly devaluing a massive brand if it fails to adapt. That's like supporting buyers of goods as if they matter in the stake of a company. And 10th, ask yourself about diseconomies of scale in wealth management. If anyone managing billions begins finding it incredibly difficult without special institutional privileges, but keeps gaining while others suffering the instability of capital preservation at that scale keep losing, maybe the popular narrative isn't the whole story. 11th, imagine the opposite. If capitalists gained all these advantages, would people finally defend it? If not, perhaps the standard isn't consistent. That's why I think those confusing corporate socialists with capitalists deserve more attention than real wage earners who want what's owed to them. You don't have to agree that a perfectly competitive free market contains internal leveling mechanisms is completely right. My point is that by removing state-backed privileges, monopolies, and subsidies, market forces themselves would likely prevent wealth from concentrating into the billions. Sometimes the hottest take isn't shocking because it's outrageous. It's shocking because it forces people to reconsider how these unnecessarily rich people got that way.